I finally got some feedbacks on my videos, and I want to thank you all for all your inputs. I'm always looking for new ways to improve my shows. And as you can see, one of the changes is my background. The majority of the inputs have mentioned that my previous background was too distracting and at some points, nauseating. So I aim to please and give something less distracting and hopefully more comforting to the eyes. And to those who felt that it was kind of nauseating, my sincerest apologies. Pansies.
Here. Let's go.
Hi, Faceless here, and I try to keep an open mind about any movie I go see in a theater. There have been some cases that I thought a movie was going to be a huge blockbuster and a lot of fun, only to come out to be really disappointed. And then there were movies that I absolutely thought I was going to hate. But I ended up really liking it. So I told myself a long time ago to leave my expectations at the door despite what I hear from my family and friends. However, when I go to a theater on the film's opening night and I find this, and I'm the only one here. Oh boy. Not really a good impression. Project Almanac. David Raskin, played by Johnny Weston, is an inspiring inventor and a senior in high school who just got admitted to MIT. However, he doesn't have the $45,000 to pay the tuition. In order to help pay for the tuition, his mother decides to put the house on the market, much to David's dismay. He starts applying for various scholarships. Trying to find new ideas to submit to the scholarship, David was rummaging through the attic when him and his sister come across this old camera from 10 years ago. The last recording was David's 8th birthday, which is the same day that his father died in a car accident shortly after. While looking through the recording, David finds a shot of himself in the mirror in the foreground of the video. After showing his friends and investigating how this was even possible, they stumble into the basement of the house and found an unfinished project that David's father was working on before he passed away. And as you can guess, the invention is a time machine. For the first part of this movie, it really focuses on them trying to build this thing. There is a lot of technical babble, and even throw in a couple of references to other time travel movies such as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Time Cop, Doctor Who, and others. You get the point. I almost half expected them to throw in a Back to the Future reference. With the help of his two friends Adam Lee and Quinn Goldberg, they managed to get this thing working and successfully use it. And I say successfully very loosely. Once they perfected the machine, they decide to give this thing a test run, and so begins the ride of this movie. Now, the machine can only go back so far, like 3 months at the most. But what these guys do, I would like to think that most people would do if they had this technology. Oh yeah, you know you would do it too. Honestly, these guys really have fun with it. I mean, you're 18, you have a time machine, what would you really do? Now, the trouble really begins when David starts jumping time alone and starts changing stuff to work in his favor. The film really uses the premise of cause and effect. Kind of like that story, The Sound of Thunder, only on a smaller scale. You know, where you alter something so small in the past that could have grave consequences in the future and the present. They do draw it out for the audience to understand, but if you try to sit there and map out everything that's happened, trying to make sense of how one event could cause this whole set of new possibilities and chain reactions, you'll just drive yourself nuts. Honestly, as a fan of time travel movies, this part kinda annoyed me. I mean, I seen where they were going with it, but there was a point where it just didn't make sense as to why the event happened in the first place. I'm sure they explained it in the film and I just missed it, but that was the problem that I had with this movie. And some of the explanations, they were really vague and it kind of left it up to the audience to figure it out on their own. Which is fine by me. I don't mind a movie that makes me think. But this really isn't the movie to do it in. Now, if you've seen the trailers or the previews, you know that things go horribly wrong. And David tries real hard to fix them, but instead causes more problems than there were before. Ultimately, the movie resolves itself by doing the most cliche thing that you can do in a time travel movie. And no, it's not like the butterfly effect ending. Well, sort of. Now, this movie is a found footage film. They did something a little different, unlike the other films in this genre. Yeah, you get the shaky cam and the constant movement, but not as much as you normally would get. Plus, they added a bit of soundtrack to the film during the montage scenes. It's as if someone found the footage, cleaned it up, and added music here and there. And surprisingly, I was okay with it. If anything, it helped it. So is this movie bad? Not at all. I mean, it's not a blockbuster by no means, but the movie isn't bad. In some ways, it's actually pretty good. Sure, it throws in some technical babble that makes the audience confused, but as the plot progresses, you kind of start caring for these characters. The pacing of the film is so-so. And in the middle, you start kind of losing interest. But it does pick back up towards the end. At the end of the film, I left the theater pretty much satisfied. So my final recommendation? Rent it for a weekend. It's fun for the most part, just don't try to follow all the technical babble and the time theories, and you'll enjoy it fine. Well, this wraps up this episode. If you have any thoughts of this film, please leave a comment below. And if you hadn't done so yet, hit the subscribe button for more upcoming reviews. You can also visit me at peanutbutterdisaster.com, and while you're there, take a look at the other reviewers who are just as funny and fun. Before I sign off, I also have a message for Trevor from Jake and Trevor Review Everything. Respect the platypus. This is Faceless, signing off.
Right here. Let's go.
Peanut butter disaster.